As noted on the agenda, public recognition provides an opportunity for attendees to address the council on any city-related item that is not already listed on tonight's agenda. Please raise your hand to be recognized. We only ask that you state your name for use on the record and you limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. A timer system will be used so that everyone is treated fairly. With that, I open public recognition. And Christy Lyson is recognized.
I want to make sure I'm doing the right thing. This is the time I can comment on anything that's not part of the agenda, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
So just general community concerns.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll start by saying I know many of you already, but I've owned my home in downtown Bremerton for 27 years. And so I'm a long-term member of the community. I'm a bit concerned that I feel like the council and the city government the house is on fire basically, and y'all are talking about rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. First of all, in terms of affordable housing, we do not have affordable housing, and none of the things I heard on the plans and the projects in process for affordable housing are going to change that. The basic rent, and I think it's basically every landlord has decided what the allowance is for the military to get housing here. There's a boat in, and so no matter what apartment it is, it starts at $1,800 a month. You have to show that you make 3 times that amount in income to even be eligible to rent that apartment, which means you have to make $70,000+ a year to afford the most basic apartment in Bremerton right now. I hire people all the time. I wish I could hire people. I can't even get people to staff the jobs I have, which require at minimum a bachelor's degree and more often a master's degree. We pay for those starting level positions $55,000 to $65,000 a year. So I can't even pay people enough they could afford a studio or 1-bedroom apartment in Bremerton right now. And that's for people with, those are professionals I'm hiring. So, and that's not even talking about the homeless in our community, which are in dire need of the most basic decency provided for just their basic needs, and who fall through the cracks for any homeless shelter program, just any kind of decent treatment in our city. This is a crisis, people, and I'm telling you, stop paying developers to develop housing here that supposedly is going to be affordable. If it's $1,800 a month, it's not affordable. It's not affordable. That's $70,000 is upwards of $34 an hour. Name how many positions in our city pay $34 an hour. I just want to present a reality check. So thank you for listening.
Thank you for your comments and taking the time to contact us. Anyone else for public recognition? Brian Anderson.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, I just wanted to make 2 brief comments real fast to the City Council. I sent you all an email around 4th of July. I'm concerned about the degree and scale of fireworks that were going off. It seemed like the city made a very intentional decision not to enforce some of the ordinances that are already in place. And I do understand that there's a lot of pent up energy and excitement. People have been locked up at home for a couple of years, so maybe there was more 4th of July fireworks this year than normal. But my biggest concern is I think this is kind of a ticking time bomb, no pun intended, in terms of just like an ecological disaster. Bremerton is surrounded by timberlands. It just takes one firework or spark to set off a huge forest fire. I think I sent a drone video of the degree of fireworks going off all at the same time, and it was truly mind-boggling. So I would really urge the City Council to think of measures that would diminish maybe the power of fireworks that are sold, and maybe work in cooperation with the county or the county council or board of Kitsap commissioners to maybe partner and see if there are tools that could be used to not kill the celebration, but maybe make it a little smaller or less intense. I want people to be able to celebrate, but we don't need to be shooting off rockets that explode in the air above our houses. I did reach out to the Kitsap Board of Commissioners, so hopefully there's some opportunity there. And then the one other thing, I don't know if I have a time limit, so I want to be respectful. Okay, is I live in Manette, and there were about 4 old growth evergreen trees that were cut down, literally down to their stumps. That trees must have been at a minimum 50 years old, and they're part of the scarce urban canopy that we have left in Bremerton. And I was told that they were actually cut down on request of the city because the roots were tearing up the sidewalk. And I do appreciate that we care about the sidewalk, and mobility is a very important issue. There are equity concerns there, but there are many ways to re-engineer a sidewalk or even different materials that can be used while protecting the urban canopy. And I think we'll even see, like this week, it's going to get up into the mid 90s, and the tree canopy makes a huge difference, especially for folks who can't afford an air conditioner, in terms of maintaining or preventing heat islands in the city. There are many studies that have shown that. So I don't know if there's any consideration of some sort of ordinances to protect trees or committees, but I think that's something that's desperately needed in Bremerton, which is a community with a lot of low-income folks who don't have AC.
Thank you, Brian. You're at time, but I will just tell you that both issues that you've brought up, we are actively talking about with committees and things like that. So
thank you so much.
Yeah, keep on us, and and we'll move forward. So
appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, next is Marlon Cameron.
Good evening, Council. Marwan Cameron. Good evening, Mayor. From the Conduit, I had 2 things I wanted to talk about this evening. The first one is downtown on MLK. Talking with folks down there and other people that are stakeholders that care about those folks down there are wondering what can be done in regards to placing bathrooms downtown and dumpsters downtown so that they have a place to put their garbage. Folks are ready to mobilize and provide staffing through volunteer so that folks can feel safe down there. But as far as we know, nothing like that has happened yet downtown, and that hasn't been tried. So I'd love to hear, what is going to happen. I know that coming up, there are some organizations that are going to have day shelters going on, but that may be a 1.5 years out. So what are we going to do in the interim? So that was my first issue. My second issue is in regards to the ARPA funds and the CDBG grant. And I just found out by covering the city council meeting that these funds were available. And while I understand that this is put into the Kitsap Sun and it's also on your city website, I think one of the main purposes of REACT, which is the Race and Equity Council, is to, sorry, I'm trying to make sure I've got my 3 minutes in there, is to make sure that things are looked at through a race equity lens. And so while those things are put out, unfortunately, even though we are a very small percentage here in the community, I think we're about 3 or 4% here in the county, Black Americans, we don't all talk to each other. And unless you've read the Sun on that day, or you happen to be looking at the county, you wouldn't have come across these opportunities. And then that is just the first hurdle. That second hurdle is, how do you interpret it? How do you apply for these things? And so that's a real issue. So I'd like to look at that and see how we can, make sure that more people have access to these opportunities and can actually apply for these opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Is there anybody else for public recognition?